wanna know something interesting about me? The Nintendo 64 is one of my favorite systems, 3D platformers are one of my favorite genres, and I have never played Banjo-Kazooie. I know, crazy. Especially when Banjo is considered one of the greatest and most influential 3D platformers of all time, frequently spoken of in the same breath as games like Super Mario 64, Crash Bandicoot, and Rayman 2. And I mean, come on, Rareware were at the top of their game in the N64 era, pumping out games like GoldenEye, Perfect Dark, Conker's Bad Fur Day, all of which are still talked about and remembered fondly to this day. Rare has earned their spot in gaming history. So after 25 years of existence, I decided that was far too long to go without checking out this landmark title. I'm interested to see what they do with the 3D platforming formula and also how well it holds up today, because as good as some games could be on the N64, it was still the early days of 3D, developers were still finding their footing with it, so I'm interested to see where it goes. Enough of the preamble, let's dive in to Banjo-Kazooie. Oh man, I miss these types of intros where the logos would like walk around or morph or whatever. It just instantly shows off so much personality. More games should do this stuff. This dragonfly dude called a buzz bomb smacks into the Rare logo, and we pan down and get this awesome musical intro that you know. Even if you've never played this game before, you know this intro, you know this music, it is that iconic. Then we move on to the file select screen, and man, they even found a way to make this fun. We got different banjos. File 1 is Sleepy Banjo, File 2 is Cookin' Banjo, and File 3 is Gamer Banjo. Hell yeah. And the music changes and adapts for each of them. It's pretty clear this game wants you to know right off the bat, it has charm, it has style, and it's gonna put them on full display at all times. So, which banjo matches my energy? Well, obviously I gotta go with Gamer Banjo, right? Sitting by the fire playing a Game Boy, that's what's up, dude. The game opens with the nasty, rhyme-obsessed witch Gruntilda parodying Snow White and asking her cauldron who the prettiest girl in the land is. And according to him, it's Banjo's younger sister, Tootie. Isn't she like 5? Gruntilda is obviously furious that anyone would be more attractive than her, so she decides to capture Tootie and siphon her good looks away from her. And thus begins our adventure. A simple save the girl plot, as classic could be. But where do we search? Grunty's taken Tootie back to her lair, but that could be miles away. Where do we— Oh. This is just a hilarious living situation. Like, imagine waking up, looking out your window, and just seeing a giant witch face with glowing eyes carved into a mountain, and that's where your neighbor lives. And then you have to go beat up your neighbor because she kidnapped your sister. Bizarre. Anyway, the game begins. We control Banjo the bear and his bird pal Kazooie, who stays in his backpack. We're introduced to Bottles, the short-sighted mole, who acts as our tutor and the character who will teach us new moves throughout the game. But this opening tutorial is actually completely optional. If you already know the controls, you can skip it and move straight ahead to Grunty's lair. That should be an option in every game. Of course, I went through it though, and first impressions are quite strong. The controls are satisfying, your moves are varied, literally everything has eyes. I really like the style here. There are also these extra honeycomb pieces that you can grab using the moves that Bottles teaches you. It's very smart. And if you grab 6, you get an extra point of health, so they're very much worth getting. Once all that's done though, we move up into Grunty's lair, and the game begins proper. Welcome to the main hub of the game, a somewhat labyrinthian-feeling lair that hosts the game's 9 worlds. Mumbo's Mountain, Treasure Trove Cove, Clanker's Cavern, that's a slur, Bubble Gloop Swamp, Freezeezy Peak, Gobi's Valley, Mad Monster Mansion, Rusty Bucket Bay, and Click Clock Wood. The main collectibles here are jigsaw puzzle pieces, or as they're also known, jiggies. That's another slur. And musical notes, which are kind of like the coins in Mario, but unlike Mario, where you can choose to completely ignore the coins if you want, Here, the notes are just as important as the jiggies, as both are needed to progress. The jiggies fill in pictures to open new worlds, and the notes open note doors to open more of the lair. You know how many games in the 3D platforming genre are labeled as collectathons? Well, Banjo-Kazooie practically invented that term, mostly because you basically have to 100% the game to even beat it, or at least get damn close. There's a grand total of 100 jiggies, 10 in each world and in Grunty's lair, but how many do you need to finish the game? 94. You can only miss 6 jiggies. Oh, and if you want to get a special health bonus before the final boss, you need 4 more jiggies, so you'll only have 2 in reserve. As for the notes, there are 100 in each world for a grand total of 900. And how many notes do you need to reach the final boss? 810, only allowing you to miss 90. With differences like that, you might as well just go for full completion, right? But you better be careful when collecting the notes in particular, because for some godforsaken reason, they decided that if you die in a world, or even just leave and come back later, all the notes respawn. And if you didn't reach 100, you're collecting them all over again. That doesn't happen with anything else in the game. Your jiggies and world progress are saved, so why not the notes? You'll likely learn this very early on, as I did, when a jiggy spawns above the entrance to Mumbo's mountain. I thought I'd just quickly pop out, grab it, and re-enter with no issue, but then... Wait, what? Oh no, you mean... Oh, fuck. It's not so bad in the early worlds, but later in the game, you can encounter situations like this. Yep, just like that. Instant death. Now get ready to gather all those notes again. That is no fun. Let's talk about those worlds though. There's a lot of variety here, and most of them are great fun. Even relative low points like Bubble Gloop Swamp or Rusty Bucket Bay aren't all that bad, they're just not the greatest. But that's almost made up for when the rest of the worlds are so fun. Design-wise, they're all fun to explore with plenty of varied locations within each world, but also visually, they're just beautiful most of the time. I really do think this game's art direction creates a timeless look. The colors, architecture, and of course the character designs all come together to create one of the best looking games on the N64. I believe Steve Mayles was the art director, and he did a fantastic job. I'd say some of my favorites are Treasure Trove Cove with its bright sunny beaches, Mad Monster Mansion, just on vibes alone, you gotta love a good spooky horror themed world, and Freezeezy Peak with an infectiously charming snowy holiday theme, and also if you look up into the sky, oh look at that N64 ass moon! Oh that's so good! And of course there's the giant snowman in the center of the level, which I stared into the abyss, and the abyss stared back. A common character you'll encounter in most of the worlds is the goofy shaman Mumbo Jumbo, and visiting him is always one of my favorite things to do because he'll turn you into various different forms. A termite, a crocodile, a bee, even a pumpkin. Of course he won't do it for free though, which is where another collectible comes into play, the Eek'em-Boek'ems. Yes, I know they're actually called Mumbo tokens, but come on, they're Eek'em-Boek'ems. They're hidden throughout the worlds, and if you gather enough, you can exchange them for these transformations. If, and only if, you abide by the law that every time you get one, you mimic back Eek'em-Boek'em. Sound design is great across the board. All the characters have these really funny little snippets of noises they make, and that's what makes up their dialogue sounds. Every single item has a unique tune or soundbite that plays when you pick them up. And of course, we have an infectiously catchy jingle for getting jiggies. Speaking of music, oh my god, this soundtrack! Grant Kirkhope worked absolute magic here, creating one of the best and most memorable video game soundtracks of all time. No exaggeration, every track here is an earworm. You only need to hear Treasure Trove Cove one time, and it will remain in your brain for the rest of your life. There's plenty of leitmotif used throughout as well. Usually when you get certain power-ups, the main theme of the game will be interpolated. But the soundtrack is probably best known for its adaptive music, tracks that change parts of their instrumentation based on where the player is in the world, a technique called vertical mixing. I believe this was something of a common thing for Grant Kirkhope, as he used the exact same technique in Donkey Kong 64, which came out just a year later. He even used the exact same sound font, so those two games sound strikingly similar. But between the two, I think I prefer Banjo.
So, it's got great controls, a timeless look, an amazing soundtrack. It's just straight up fun. Just as fun as it ever was, and it's still worth playing to this day. Let's talk about why it sucks, though!
Okay, I know I literally just said the game is good, and it is, like 95% of the time, but on occasion, it can really try your patience. The most consistent problem is that, like most N64 games, depth perception is a big issue, and sometimes you'll be asked to land on really small platforms, and the controls can be a little slippery, and things can get pretty tense. Click Clock Wood had me sweating constantly. Or how about this spot here? All I want to do is get that acorn, but fuck. Okay, let's try again. Oh, you've got to be kidding me! Shit. Fuck! This should not be this hard! Oh, finally! Another issue common to the platform is the draw distance. For the most part, it's actually quite good. They make good use of lower resolution textures and lower poly models for objects at a distance, but sometimes it can make things a little tough. The one problem I ran into was on Treasure Trove Cove. I was cleaning up, looking for the last honeycomb piece, but I couldn't find it anywhere, until I looked it up and found out that it was on this island. But I don't see anything on... Oh. There it is. Only when you get right up to the shoreline can you see it. But you know my biggest problem with this game? This fucking charge. Okay, so Bottles eventually teaches you how to fly, and flying is cool. Controls well, you slowly descend and can ascend by pressing A to flap, which uses one of Kazooie's feathers. All that's good, but then you get this charge attack activated with the B button. And this fucking sucks the fattest, juiciest, most oily part of my ass and gargles before swallowing. I sincerely apologize for that. What makes it so bad? The fact that you can literally never tell where you're aiming. There's no reticle to let you know, so most of the time, you're gonna miss, which in the best cases will send you flying way off target, and in the worst cases, you'll slam into something and take damage. These snowman assholes in Freeze Easy Peak are a pain to deal with because you have to hit them exactly on their hats. Otherwise, bam, I smacked right into him, but he is completely unaffected. But those issues are thankfully few and far between. The majority of the game is classic 3D platforming goodness. The only other thing I can really complain about is that breakable objects are not telegraphed the best, like these gates in Mad Monster Mansion. They have locks on them, and I thought you were supposed to get a key or hit a switch or something, but no, you just hit them and they fall. That could have been telegraphed way better. They could have made the gates look rusty or damaged or something, but other than those issues, the game is very fun to go through. And after you've had your fun in the game's 9 worlds, it's time for the final showdown against Gruntilda. And it's a board game show where you have to answer trivia questions? What? This is a very bizarre way to end things. None of your 3D platforming skills are tested here, just your memory. What's the name of this character? Where do you hear this music? What did Brentilda tell you about Grunty? Oh yeah, I forgot to mention Brentilda. Throughout the lair, you can find this character, Brentilda, who is Grunty's good-natured sister, and every time you find her, she'll tell you 3 secrets about Grunty, like who her best friend in school was, or the fact that she posed for a magazine sitting on her broomstick. These secrets are literally only ever relevant in this part of the game, making this whole section even more bizarre. And if you get a question wrong, you take damage, unless you're standing on one of these skull spaces, which instantly kill you, which happened to me right at the end. More than once. Anyway, once you get to the end, Grunty gives up Tooty, runs away, and then, assuming you have the required number of Jiggies, which you likely do, then the real final battle starts. It's a multi-stage fight with Grunty on the roof of her lair, and it's pretty pretty standard until, fuck me, you gotta do the flying charge at her. This section is an absolute nightmare because unlike the snowmans in Freeze Easy Peak, Grunty is a moving target, so every time you think you have the shot, you don't. You soar right past her. Try to line it up again, rinse and repeat until you get lucky. But eventually, you do. You land enough hits on her, summon the mighty Ginjonator who knocks her off the tower, and bam! Trapped under a boulder, Grunty lays. And there you have Banjo-Kazooie.
So, how well does it hold up today? I'd say quite well, despite a few glaring issues. It is worth mentioning, though, this game was re-released on the Xbox 360, and again later on the Xbox One as part of Rare Replay, and those versions did fix the issue of note progress not being saved if you die or exit a level. And I'm assuming that if that issue was fixed, some of the others were probably ironed out as well. I don't know. I don't own an Xbox One. I couldn't test that. But if you're wanting to play Banjo-Kazooie today, that's probably the best version to go with. But the N64 original is not bad at all. So if you want to go with the best nostalgic experience, well, here you go.
And hey, then you can take advantage of the stop and swap feature used in the next game, Banjo-Tooie. Yeah! In the ending sequence, the game breaks the fourth wall and teases its own sequel. Kinda crazy that the team already knew they were going to be doing a sequel, but it explains that various parts of this game, like an ice key you couldn't reach or a door that wouldn't open, would be made accessible with the use of the second game and this mysterious stop and swap mechanic, which I'm sure was included in full, and that all the promises made here were kept, and I will play it, I will experience stop and swap, and I will not be disappointed whatsoever.
So, I guess I gotta play Banjo-Tooie sometime in the future. No idea when that will be. But, as for the first game, I can say I had a lot of fun with it. I'm really glad I played it through, and I do recommend you play it if you somehow still have it in your backlog. There's a lot to enjoy here. Great platforming, great art direction, funny writing, charm to spare for days. It's one of the N64's must-plays, no doubt about it. I'm really glad I finally played this game through, and I am looking forward to Banjo-Tooie, although there is one nagging question that kind of puts a damper on the whole experience, if I'm being honest, and that is, why wasn't the sequel called Banjo-Kazooie Tooie? Kazooie even asks this at the end of the game, and it's just a better name. I mean, say it out loud. Banjo-Kazooie Tooie. It's a better name. And they didn't call it that. Rareware, you literally called yourself out and then just did nothing. You bunch of fucking hacks!